So as a child survivor of the Nazi reign of terror, I learned indelible lessons about the nature of evil. I know the consequences of being stigmatized and demonized as a spreader of disease. My perspective is informed by my experience, by the historical record, and by the empirical evidence. We were required, as Germans know, to wear a yellow Star of David to identify us, to segregate Jews. Exclusionary laws barred the family from normal life, from attending ordinary activities. Our property was impounded. We were forbidden to participate in all educational, religious, cultural gatherings. Travel was forbidden for Jews, so there was no escape. These painful memories from my childhood sensitized me to the threat posed by current restrictive government dictates. You know, in 1776, Benjamin Rush, a doctor and signer of the Declaration of Independence, foresaw the danger of medicine organizing as what he called an undercover dictatorship. Under the Nazi regime, moral norms were systematically obliterated. The medical profession and institutions were radically transformed. Academic science, the military, industry, and clinical medicine were tightly interwoven, as they are now. The Nazi system destroyed a social conscience in the name of public health. Violations against individuals and classes of human beings were institutionalized. Eugenics-driven public health policies replaced the physician's focus on the good of the individual. German medical profession and institutions were perverted. Coercive public health policies violated individual civil and human rights. Criminal methods were used to enforce the policies. Nazi propaganda used fear of infectious epidemics to demonize Jews as spreaders of disease, as a menace to public health. This is a hallmark of anti-Semitism. Blame the Jewish people for existential threats. In the Middle Ages, Jews were blamed for the bubonic plague and the Black Plague. Fear and propaganda were the psychological weapons the Nazis used to impose a genocidal regime. And today, some are beginning to understand why the German people didn't rise up. Fear kept them from doing the right thing. Medical mandates today are a major step backward toward a fascist dictatorship and genocide. Government dictate medical interventions. These undermine our dignity as well as our freedom. First, it was vaccination mandates for children. Now it's for adults. The stark lesson, of the Holocaust is that whenever doctors join forces with government and deviate from their personal, professional, clinical commitment to do no harm to the individual, medicine can then be perverted from a healing, humanitarian profession to a murderous apparatus. You know, the reason that the Greeks made the students of medical schools, before they were allowed into medical school, to swear the Hippocratic Oath was because they knew that in medicine you gain knowledge about how you can actually kill, and they had to promise that they would do no harm. Otherwise, they weren't allowed in medical school. I think they were ahead of us in understanding human nature.
Absolutely, yeah.
What sets the Holocaust apart from all other mass genocides is the pivotal role played by the medical establishment, the entire medical establishment. Every step of the murderous process was endorsed by the academic and professional medical establishment. Medical doctors and prestigious medical societies and institutions lent the veneer of legitimacy to infanticide, mass murder of civilians. T4 was the first industrialized medical murder project in history. The first victims were disabled German infants and children under 3. They were identified by midwives who reported their existence to the state. The next victims were the mentally ill, followed by the elderly in nursing homes. The murderous operations were methodical and followed protocol very, very carefully. Questionnaires were sent out to all psychiatric institutions requiring detailed information about each patient. A committee of 54 psychiatrists made the final life and death decisions for each patient. Now, the objective of T4 was to eliminate the economic burden of those the regime and the doctors deemed worthless eaters. And it was also to empty beds to make room for wounded soldiers during the war. T4 also served as a testing ground for various lethal chemical and pharmaceuticals. The financial beneficiaries of the Nazi genocide were the corporate elite. Their record of collaboration with genocidal regimes is uninterrupted. Without the financial support of Wall Street bankers and collaboration by major US, German, and Swiss corporations that provided the chemical, the industrial, and the technological material, Hitler could not have carried out this unprecedented industrialized murderous operations. Among the companies that profiteered from the Holocaust, Standard Oil and Chase Manhattan, both owned by Rockefellers, IBM, Kodak, Ford, Coca-Cola, Nestle, BMW, and of course IG Farben and Bayer, as well as Escher Wyss. IG Farben was the largest World War II profiteer. Using Auschwitz patients as slave laborers, doctors actually sent those whom they deemed able to be slave laborers to the IG Farben factories and mines. They also had their own camp. They also conducted experiments. IBM technology facilitated the rapid implementation of the Holocaust. Census data was contained in IBM computer punch cards. The Jews of Europe were quickly identified, rounded up, segregated, deported, tracked, imprisoned, tattooed, enslaved, and exterminated. COVID-19 pandemic has exposed eugenics-driven public health policies in Western Europe and the United States. This is a chilling replay of T4. Government directives to hospitals and nursing homes essentially condemned the elderly to death.